We'll give it some time. What's going on, everybody? You guys can introduce yourself, or Patricia, you can actually start introducing yourself, and then they'll go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Garza. I am an escrow officer at a title company. I've been with the title company industry for almost 25 years. I've also been in the real estate side. I was a realtor for about 10 years, and I also used to process loans for a mortgage company for about 5 years.
Nice, nice. So I worked with Patricia probably for about how long have we worked together? About 6 years, 7 years?
6 years. Yeah, around
Okay, a
there.
few different title companies, and she's been a great help guiding me. So I'm hoping you guys find somebody like Patricia as well in your local markets. And title companies can become your friends. They share resources with you. They tell you the correct things, correct way to get things done, and also different procedures. And also, I think you've actually introduced me to some buyers as well in the past, Patricia.
Yes, I have.
Um,
I
so
have, yeah, I've been working with wholesale so since let's see, 2000 about 15.
okay. Perfect, perfect. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is the new group of wholesalers that are going to be taking over. I know the other group you helped out with us in the past, all of them have done some pretty good deals. So I want to get these guys going and get their deals going. We have a couple people in here that already have some contracts locked up. One in particular, I know, Monica. Monica, did you have any questions regarding the title process? I think she's there.
Yeah,
Roberto.
sorry about that. I had to get my mute button off.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm just in the process. I've sent messages to title companies. I've called title companies, and most of the people that I've called have a charge, like a initial charge. The one that I think I like, this like $250 charge, and then after the deal goes through at closing, then they'll send it back to you. I guess that's just a safety measure, but my thing is just trying to find the right title company. I've searched the zip code and I've called all of them. And just like I've said, I haven't found anybody yet.
Yeah, so Patricia, have you heard of people doing that here in the Texas market?
No, I mean every title company like kind of works different. If you just want to run a title search to get started, there's some that will collect an upfront fee just for a title search, and then they basically refund it back to you, or they give you a credit basically on your policy.
Yeah, that's what I told her. Some markets may be different. They may have been burnt by wholesalers doing a lot of work, and the wholesaler doesn't end up closing on the property. So that may be
Yeah.
some, gates that they have in place. Any advice you could give people getting started, Patricia? I know, like, from if you could break it down for them from the point that they get their first contract to what do they do next?
Well, as soon as you get your first contract and you have it with when you have it with your seller, um just see, how much information you can get from them. Um, but you go and as soon as you find a good title company, a title company that actually works with investors. There's not, there are some that work with investors and they're really good at working with investors. And then you have some title companies that they expect for the investor to do all the work. But the first thing you do, you basically, find a good title company that's gonna just go ahead and start the process and opening title with just you and the seller and not charge an upfront fee.
Okay. So if you can guide them through, when they get the contract from the seller and they send it in to you guys, because keep in mind a lot of these guys have never done any real estate transactions or investing. So if you can guide them through and tell them like what to expect and when they get their first deal under contract, what do they do? What boxes do they check? Because I know with me and you, we pretty much got a system.
Yes. Um, well, basically, if you have your check, if you get a checklist, I mean, Ferris is really good at what he does. He basically turns everything into me from the contract and all of the seller's information, from name, phone numbers, who we can contact. If hopefully if they have emails, you send that in, and uh, they'll what they'll do, they'll send you a seller's information sheet. Once you get a seller's information sheet, try to get as much information from that seller as possible. That way they won't be bugging you and bugging you and bugging you. Okay?
And they'll
Uh,
be directed to reach out to you guys so they could be hands off. When you guys fill
yeah,
out the seller information sheet, that gives the seller and title a chain of communication so you don't have to middleman every message. Now, I do things differently. I prefer the middleman messages just so I can have control over everything. You'll see when you're working with certain sellers, they don't understand a lot. They think, somebody's supposed to be their hand and foot, but I have virtual assistants and things like that so I could keep control of everything. But if you guys want to keep everything smooth and easy, you could just, direct them to the title company. The title company will handle everything for you guys.
yes, exactly. Um, and like Ferris says, he does things a lot different. And oh, do I love Ferris when he has his wholesale deals, because he basically gets all the information from that seller. Even he even goes out if there's an affidavit of airship that needs to be done. He
All
goes
right,
in.
pause right there, Patricia.
Uh-huh.
So affidavit of airship, guys, if you guys don't know, I do a lot of inherited properties, and a lot of times the seller's name may not be on the deed because their parents or a family member passed away, but they feel they have a right to sell the property. And when those type of things come up, I try to get all the paperwork necessary to send into a title company. So a AOH form is an affidavit of airship, like a questionnaire you send to the title company with the person you're buying it from and how they're related to the deceased people that names are actually on the deed. And that way the title company can have an easier way of doing the transaction and pushing it through to make sure the person who's saying they can sell it, make sure they really are the legit bloodline or next heir to actually sell the property. So that's what she means when she's saying affidavit of heirship.
Will you always know that's the case up front, or do you usually find that out during the title search?
Um,
It varies.
yeah, no, we usually, well, Ferris, the way he does it, he already knows up front, because to his people, that they always know that if they are, if they're selling it with, through an inheritance,
Mhm.
in other words, he's gonna go through an affidavit of heirship. Um, but usually we don't find out until we get our search back.
Okay.
Now, I
Okay.
was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was. I don't even think they're here right now. It was someone I was talking to you guys about Schedule A, B, and C on the title commitment. Was that anybody in here? Okay. Can you go over the title commitment and what that is? So, like we said, first they'll send in all the paperwork to the title company, letting them know they do have an agreement in place with the seller of the property. And you mentioned when you run title search, the things that come back on the title search, which is also the title commitment. Can you break down what's on the title commitment, what they should look out for?
Okay. So yeah, so once we get all of that information, we get our title search, you'll get this thing called the title commitment, and you'll see a Schedule A. Schedule A will give you information of who is vested on the title. Okay. And it'll give you the legal description, the correct legal description of the property. Okay, that is your Schedule A. It gives you, you know, who the buyer is and what the property is selling for. Okay. Then you have your Schedule B. Schedule B basically will let you know your restrictions, if there's any restrictions on the property, if there's an HOA, so it'll give you if there's a mud and any easements that are on the property. Okay, and your easements are basically your drainage, your utility easements, your uh your aerial easements, your boundary lines. Well, it's not boundary line. Oh gosh.
Meets and
Uh,
bounds.
uh that's your no, that's your legal description. Your legal description will let you know what your the the property as your meets and bounds if there's more than just um if it's more than just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But no, building lines. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. That's basically what your Schedule B is. It's just what all of those easements are. Okay. Sometimes in Schedule B, you will see um some title companies put what is a memorandum.
I went over that with them too. Monica, I think you had a question about a memorandum. Monica. Okay. So a memo is sometimes something I file, guys, with the county clerk. And that just protects the agreement that I have in place with the particular seller. And I only do that. I don't do it every time. I have a buddy, Patricia, you know, Dave. Dave, he files them on every single property he does, but I only file them when I feel the seller is somewhat sketchy or maybe trying to get more money for the property than what we agreed to. It just protects my interest in closing that transaction. So if the seller agreed with someone else and they took it to another title company trying to sell it behind my back, that memorandum would come up on the title commitment saying that another person has a contract out on this property with intentions to buy.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think the seller is pretty good. I sent her a message this morning letting her know that that I'm still working on everything, and that if she needs to get in contact with me to let me know, if any questions and anything like that. And she said okay, so I think she's still pretty good.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay,
Okay.
you can keep going.
So does anybody have any questions about Schedule B or Schedule A?
Now this next part is the biggest part that I only really pay attention to on the title commitment, and it's called Schedule C, and you can go on that, Patricia.
Okay. Schedule C, don't all you have to do is just make sure any liens that are on the property will start with item number 5. 1 through 4, there's just basic language that it's for us as a title company. But anything that's after 4, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, just depending on what we find against the property or against the seller. Okay. So you can have a mortgage, okay, your current lien. There's an abstract of judgments. There's city liens. Sometimes if a seller goes and borrows money to pay for taxes, there's that lien that you'll see on Schedule C as well. Anything that has to do with the property that is against the property or a seller. Okay. You'll find we will also know if there's a deceased because not always will we know. Okay. Just know not all the time will title companies know if the seller that's vested on title is deceased. Okay. Um that will come whenever we want title and y'all come and tell me, oh, well, that person's dead. That's when the affidavit of heirship comes into play. Okay, there's a questionnaire that we'll end up sending so y'all can get it filled out. Or if you want you know, we can also get with the seller and get that done. Ferris is very good. He goes and gets that questionnaire completed himself, and he knows that when it comes to an affidavit of heirship, it has to be the person that's going to be vested and two disinterest parties. It cannot be a relative. Well, not so much anybody that is receiving money. It has to be either a friend, a neighbor, pastor, um, a cousin.
And
We can
when she says two disinterested parties on the document, it'll say witnesses. You need a witness one and a witness two, and it would have to get notarized.
yes, and they would have to know the deceased 10 years prior to their them passing. Not, oh well, I have a let's see, I have a friend that's 30 years old and the person passed away, 10 years ago. Okay, or somebody that's 20 and the guy passed away 20 years 10 years ago. Well, that doesn't even give those 10 years because this person didn't know the deceased when he was an adult. They have to have been at least 18 years and older when they knew the deceased. Okay. What other things can you find?
Real quick on the affidavit airship she brought up when she said I'm real good at going and getting the things signed myself. Now I do that, guys, just because I like things. I like being in control of things. And title companies can communicate with the seller. They'll email the seller, and the seller will sometimes say, "Oh yeah, I got them," but the seller isn't keen on the spot about getting them done. So I would rather set an appointment with the seller, say, "Hey, I'll be there Tuesday, get these documents filled out," and then I send it right to the title company. Title companies and sellers sometimes take time back and forth. And you'll see that once you start working with title companies, it's a lot of things you could do, and you could do it a lot a lot faster. And if you guys notice, a lot of business signatures or emails always say we will respond within 24 to 48 hours and things like that. So I like being very hands-on and getting things done pretty fast on my own because I can control the time. Something that could take 1 hour out your day doing is much better than wasting 3 to 4 days waiting for it to get done because there's a link in the chain of command or procedure of things that they're doing. So I'd rather handle it on my own and make sure it gets done. Like even with affidavit airships, you need the death certificates, right, Patricia?
Need death certificates, and if possible, uh, try to get an obituary.
Now, the reason I brought up the death certificate thing is because a lot of times families don't even have the death certificates. So a lot of times title company will email the city or what's called the vital records statistic. What's the form, Bill? How do you say it?
Yeah, it's the vital searches. Yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, the title company will email them vital records or statistics or vital statistic, however the wording of it is. They'll email them, wait for a reply, and it takes time when you could just go do it in an hour and pay like $20. Sometimes you have to take uh, uh, I don't know the right, but a nuclear family or family member to get it. But if the deceased has been passed over 20 years, deceased over 20 years, I think it's public information. You just pay like $20 to get it. But if it's recent, you have to take someone close, like a nuclear family member. It can't be like a cousin saying, "Oh yeah, I'm related." They have to show like evidence that they're the next line of kin type of thing.
yes. Um, yeah. Usually, these courts they don't like deal a lot with title companies, and that's the reason why we get somebody that's related, either a sibling, a child, one of the children's, or a surviving spouse to get that death certificate.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that affidavit airships. Any questions on that, guys? Anybody's. No dumb questions, no bad questions.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, trust
So,
me, when I first started working at Title, I had a whole bunch of questions.
yeah. Ayana, were you about to say something?
Okay, when you say that you do the AOH and you have to get the two disinterested parties, do you do that too? You find the two people who have to sign?
Well, the family member will tell me, hey, my cousin stays here, or I have Miss Betty. She's known my dad for 20 years. She was his neighbor. She'll be happy to sign. I would go drive and get that done, or
Okay,
schedule a
thank
notary to go and make sure, because I like getting stuff out the way versus wasting time. I'm trying to get paid fast. Any other questions?
you.
Or did that answer it, Ian?
It did, thank you.
Yeah. Any
Okay.
other questions about affidavit airships, anybody? Or if you're lost and completely don't understand what we're talking about, let me know. All right. So the other thing I didn't hear you mention on Schedule C, um, what's the thing when they owe child money? What's that called?
Child support. You don't
Child
know
support.
about that because you ain't got no kids, Mr.
Yeah.
Barry.
So child support could come up on there as well. Any type of lien. I had something. That was like I don't know if you guys ever heard Rent-A-Center. It's like a Rent-A-Center lien, any type of credit debt, anything could come up on Schedule C. Now, the problem with Schedule C is if this stuff comes up, or Patricia, you go ahead and tell them more about it.
Yeah, no. So you'll get there's child support liens that'll come up. Federal tax lien, which is IRS. IRS is one of the most difficult things that we're able to get payoffs. But federal tax liens, they have to the owner has to get that. We can do it. It's just they prefer to speak with the homeowner themselves, and if they're deceased, then a spouse or somebody that's related to them. Um, Child support liens, federal tax liens. Uh, when it comes to a constable sale, okay, and I just need you all to know if there's a constable sale that this person purchased a property from, it has to be at least if it was their primary home. Have you ever got that Ferris, one of those?
I actually got in trouble because I sold one. Are you saying are you about to get in the right to redemption type thing?
Right, redemption, yes.
Yeah, I got in trouble, not personally in trouble, but I was able to let one go. One deal went through. The person lost their home and it was only like a year, and they offered to get under contract with me, and I wholesaled it to the seller. The seller bought it, fixed the property up. And it wasn't my fault. I didn't know. But the seller fixed the property up because the another title company I was working with, none of that came up. And the owner that lost the property, was trying to, get the property back because they have what's called rights of redemption. Is it 2 years or how far is it?
Some title companies, well, some underwriters wait 4 years, but
For?
it's usually 2 years the right of redemption if it's their primary home.
Yeah.
If it's not their primary home, it is 6 months.
Okay.
Some underwriters want it to be a year, but it's usually 6 months.
Now, when she's saying the person's primary home, I didn't necessarily buy it from the primary owner of the property. I bought it from the person that got it from an auction because someone wanted from an auction, but the person that lived there and that owned the property, they actually have what's called the rights of redemption to get it back. So the person that got it at auction, they usually make it clear, hey, you can't do anything with this property for X amount of months or years. But again, that's the titles issue. That's why every deal we close has title insurance, because if the title makes a mistake, then everyone would be made whole.
Yep.
That
Okay.
differ by state?
Who's say
Yeah.
that? What'd you say?
Does that differ by state? The right
It,
to redemption time period?
it
Is it by
probably does.
state? Um, I'm not exactly sure. I think like in Louisiana, I think they go by the same, if I'm not mistaken. If
Okay.
not, I think it's less years.
But most
Okay.
of the time too, guys, that wouldn't affect you, except if you're, the title company should usually catch it, and if they don't, it still doesn't affect you because probably you already wholesale the property, or worst case
Mhm.
scenario, you'll just lose the deal because the title company tell you they can't close it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And the reason that we talk about Schedule C and why it's so important is because, say, for instance, just for whole number's sake, you get a property that's worth 200,000 under contract for $80,000 and you get the title thinking you're about to make, 30,000, $50,000. And the title company pulls up the title commitment and Schedule C has child support, has back tax liens, has different thing judgments against them, and it's more than $80,000, then that pretty much blows up your deal. So you can't really make anything unless the seller's okay without making nothing. And sometimes they are. They're happy with just paying off their debt. But if a seller thinking they're going to make $80,000, then all these liens come up from their past life or their husbands or partners' expenses before they pass or something like that. It could blow up your whole deal to where you're not making anything. Does that make
yeah,
sense, guys?
I think Ferris, didn't you make like $1,000 on one of the deals that we
Yeah,
because
it was a while ago. Probably like I think it was like 1,200, but I was supposed to be
yeah.
making like 16,000.
Yeah.
But the seller wouldn't budge on anything, and I already put in all the work. I was just like, okay, let's get it done.
Yeah.
Any questions about any of that, guys? Any questions regarding title? This is your chance to speak to an escrow officer while you have the chance.
Yeah.
Learn what you can.
And anytime that you turn in like earnest money from an end buyer, uh try to see if you can get them to send wires. Wires are a lot quicker, okay? And they don't have to wait a time period for anything.
So for you, Monica, if you're running into that situation, and that's what I was going to say to you next, you may have to, be, use some creative ways of doing things. So I would recommend if you can't find a title company that will, open title on your property without that deposit they're asking for and they're going to give back to you. Ask them, can you send in all your buyer, your seller, and the earnest money deposit? Usually, if you're sending some type of money, they know it's a serious deal. So you may have to find your buyer first before you even send it into a title company. Does that make
Okay.
sense, Monica?
Yes, thank you.
And a lot of times too, your buyers have done consistent business with title companies. They may tell you what's the best one, the cheapest one, and things like that. They already may have a plug there, a pull there, and they could get things done a lot quicker for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Patricia, guys?
I'm just curious what the process looks like from start to finish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's fairly
Are
it's
you,
fairly
one second, Patricia. I'm sorry. Are you asking like from your point of view or from an escrow officer's point of view?
From the wholesaler's point of view.
Okay, so that goes back to, once she get her contract, what does she do? And talk her through the process from start to getting paid. Do you hear me?
who are you talking to?
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
me.
Patricia. Yeah. So from the wholesaler's point of view, they get the contract, the seller's ready to sell. They send it into title company. What's the timeline? The average timeline for a good title company like the ones you had, for them to, tell you everything.
Usually like once you get your contract, and you send it in, turnaround time usually is 3 to 5 business days. Okay. We try not to rush wholesale deals because the wholesalers sometimes they're still waiting for their end buyer. Okay. I know that some title companies don't want to open title on the front contract only. They expect to have the end contract too. That's so they won't lose the money. Okay. Because opening title, for title companies, it does cost money. We take a loss on that. But once you send in the contract, we open title. Um, if it's with a normal, well, with any title company, it should be 3 to 5 business days. Okay. Once we get the title commitment, that's when we start all the process. And just depending, as soon as you get your end buyer, if you get, let's say you get an end buyer, as soon as you get the title commitment, we change names. It takes us that same day just to change the buyer's name. And if the buyer's a cash deal, within a week, we can close.
Does that make sense,
If
Emily?
the if there's no issues on title.
Yeah, if
Right.
nothing on Schedule C.
Okay.
When things come up on Schedule C, they have to reach out to them. And say, for instance, I have a American Express where I'm in default, $10,000. They're gonna have to reach out to American Express, wait for American Express to send them the proper documents. Well, even before the title company to reach out to seller, American Express, you have to have what with their social security number and stuff.
Social security number, date of birth, and driver's license
Is
usually.
that some type of, I can't remember the naming of it, but isn't that like some type of power of attorney type of thing? Or is that
Uh,
just the
no,
seller
there's a,
information?
seller authorization
Seller
because
authorization.
we also have to see because we need authorization to be able to get information from, since we're a third party, we need an authorization so we can get that information from them.
Yeah. Does that make sense, Emily?
Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then yeah, once if the ones that take the longest is basically either the federal tax lien or child support. Those are the ones that take the longest. It can be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks.
mhm.
Okay.
Now
What does closing look like? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say she said 3 to 5 business days, but when I talk to a seller, I tell sellers 7 to 10 business days, just
Mm-hmm.
because of the simple fact of you have to find a buyer, you have to make sure the buyer's earnest money
Right.
is there, and all the buyer side is taken care of. So that's why we say we can close in about 7 to 10 business days. Realistically, most people understand it would probably take about 3 weeks, which is 5, 10, 15 business days.
Mm-hmm.
What were you about to ask now? So she said, you send the title, the contract in, you get the title commitment, then next you find your buyer and send your buyer's information in. You
Okay.
mentioned something about the buyer's funds, Patricia.
Yes. Once once we get the assignment, we ask for the buyer to send in the earnest money funds. Okay. And like I said, it's best if it's wire because it gets to us a lot quicker. And if by any chance buyer backs out, y'all get that money. There's no waiting.
Right.
So that's why I stressed to you guys, and I don't know if you remember the live thing I did when you first became a part of it. So I stressed to you guys get an earnest money deposit, at least 2,500, because if the buyer gets it under contract and for any reason changes their mind or they're slow to close, you have 2,500 bucks you're making. And I've done that multiple times to where I make 2,500 and I'm still going to wholesale the property to another buyer.
Nice.
Patricia, I'm looking over here like who else was about to talk? Anybody, any other questions regarding that part?
I have a question. I have a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask anyway. So when you get the house under contract, when do you go to the title company? Do you need to go to the title company right away, or do you wait until you get a buyer? When's the title company play a part once you got the house under contract?
As soon as you get it under contract. So
Okay.
for you, Marla, starting or anybody starting off, the most important thing is going to find a investor friendly title company and
Hmm.
asking them, are they familiar with wholesale deals? because those are going to be the ones that guide you and help you the best. Now, would you need to go into them? Not necessarily, but it could be good for you starting off to show face and introduce yourself so they can, feel more personally connected to you versus just sending emails or calling, hey, do you do wholesales? Hey, do you do wholesales? Because you want them to consider your business and you also want to be a priority to them as well. So they understand you're coming correct. Now, me. I don't necessarily go in and meet them or anything, but as soon as I get something under contract, just because a lot of title companies I work with now, if it's not Patricia's title company, it's other ones that have been referred to me. And I would usually make my own introduction, say, hey, you work with my buddy Dave. He tells me you're pretty good. I wanted to send this contract over to you and see if we could do something. But all it takes is a phone call first to see if they're Rochelle, you there? Okay, Ayana, you there?
Yes.
All it takes is a phone call to the title company first to see what?
If they're investor friendly.
Perfect. So that's all it takes to see if they're investor friendly and do wholesale deals. And if they say, yeah, you can shoot your contract over to them. So immediately after you get something under contract, it's best to send it to a title company, but try to reach out to title companies first to make sure they're, willing to do invest and make sure they're willing to do wholesale deals and they are investor friendly. All right, Monica, you have a good night. Um,
Nice meeting you.
Thanks, guys. You too. Thanks, Patricia.
You're welcome.
all right, so that's at the buyer stage. And Marley, you asked about the timeline of when you get a deal. Did that answer your
Yeah,
question?
that helped me. Yep, thank you.
Okay. Emily, what part of the process were we in about wholesaler? Do you remember?
For me personally, where I'm at in my journey, or
No, when you asked her the whole process from beginning to finish.
oh yeah, so we're pretty much done. My next
Okay.
question was going to be, what does closing day look like? What do I need? Where do I go? Like, what happens?
So before you answer that, Patricia, I'll talk on myself, Emily.
Hmm.
Myself, I build relationships with them. So I do show up and I do treat it like a part of the deal when
Hmm.
just so they don't get confused because you have some sellers that are suspicious and don't even know you're wholesaling.
Hmm.
I always refer to my buyers as my partners too. So I show
Hmm.
up, tell them, no, I don't need to sign. I'm gonna sign later. I just want to make sure they're there. And that also helps you. Hold on one second. That also helps you confirm and make sure everything goes right. Sometimes I've gotten there and sellers refuse to sign because taxes are more than what they expected and they think they're getting ripped off 500 bucks. And I'm able to be there. Oh no, this is just what came up. We can't control the county or city taxes. This is some
Hmm.
issue that you're responsible for per our contract. It says, you will pay all back taxes. But you're able there to keep them calm because if they had just been talking to not Patricia, Patricia works really well with calming temperatures down. But if they were
Hmm.
there talking to another title company lady or something, they'd be like, well, you're responsible for paying that. That's what it says. That could look bad. And the lady could have walked out and said, well, I'm not signing today till we figure this out.
Hmm.
So I do show up, but you don't have to. Patricia, if you could tell her the process too, what a closing looks like for a wholesaler.
Usually, sorry. Um, so like Dave said, I mean, no, Dave's talking about me. Like Ferris said, he is very well, he's really good at showing up to his closings. But once we come to closing, you yourself don't have to bring anything. If you want to interview your buyer or your seller to see how the process went for them, how their experience was, you can show
Hmm.
up. Okay. But it's usually, of course, buyer and seller do not come at the same time. They come separate times. Me,
Hmm.
myself, I don't mention anything when they ask me, well, where's Ferris? And I'm like, Ferris is not here. He has another closing that he's doing or
Hmm.
be in a little later.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, they don't ask anything.
And the
But
reason the buyer and seller show up at different times too, because it keeps tension low as well as, like I mentioned, sometimes they don't know that I'm not the one buying. I just tell my partner.
Mm-hmm.
So buyers and sellers are always scheduled maybe an hour apart.
Okay.
okay, and we try to schedule them early so you can get paid that same day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they'll have to make sure the funds are clear to close and be able to disperse. Closed so it can be closed and funded, not just closed, but closed and funded same day. Because
Mm-hmm.
anything like after, was it like after 4 o'clock or something?
Yes, after 4, there's no more wires. We can cut checks, but a lot of times wholesalers they don't like checks because there's all if you don't, if you don't turn in a large amount of money all the time, there's always a 10-day hold with your bank.
Mm.
So that's why we like to wire funds out to wholesalers.
Okay.
And someone asked me, I can't remember, Patricia, but someone asked me about how to do taxes on wholesaling and, do you have to claim all that money or what's the way around it?
Um, well, I'm not a CPA.
Uh-huh.
Um, um, a lot of it's almost like getting tips. You're not gonna want to claim all of your
Exactly.
self fees, but
Yeah.
it's just to get with the CPA. I don't know how do you do it because I mean, when it comes to a wholesale fee, they're not just if you close a lot, it does add up.
Uh-huh.
And unless you have write-offs, um,
But it's nothing that you guys are reporting.
no,
So
we don't report anything.
for wholesaling. So you're
No,
just making like a finder's fee, guys. They're not reporting anything on your behalf. Like when the buyers buy and the sellers have to show, they report how much a seller makes, but not
yes,
a
it's
wholesaler.
not a wholesaler. That is just like with commissions. We don't report commissions either. For realtors, all we do, the ones that we do send out, if and it's not all the time, is basically like people who buy investment property or sell investment property under their LLCs or even their homes. If it's under an LLC, uh, it gets reported to the IRS, but not wholesale deals, not assignments.
Yeah. And also, you don't need a LLC to do a wholesale.
No, if you're the signer, you do not need LLCs. We will ask because we only have one contract open, which is between yourself and the seller. But it's a lot of times, did y'all assign it? And so there's no LLCs that need to be given.
And any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I have another question. I think I confused myself. So earlier you said you go to the closing, right? Just to help with any type of questions that you may be able to answer.
For most of them, I do. If the
Right.
buyer's educated, they're someone with common sense, I feel they're comfortable and understand everything. But you're gonna work with people where sometimes the sense isn't common. And their family, sometimes it's family, even getting into it. So you're gonna have to nurture that and be a mutual person to make sure you keep all the tension down because if someone gets into it, it can blow your whole deal up or delay your deal or anything like that. Then your buyer's mad. Your buyer's going to probably sometimes want to pull out or, refuse to do business at this title company. Why didn't the title company get it done? So that's just my little 2 cents. So yes, Marla.
So I think where I got confused was I think Patricia said the buyer and sellers aren't there at the same time, right?
Mhm.
They go an hour apart.
Mhm.
You're just so you're there, they don't know that you're not the buyer. So
No,
I guess I'm confused. How are you there if the buyer and the seller can't be there at the same time?
because I'm not the buyer. Being that
Okay.
you talk to the seller, right, Marla?
Right.
You're the one that has the relationship with the seller. The title
Yes.
company doesn't. They didn't initiate that relationship. The buyer doesn't even know the seller. The buyer knows you. So being that I initiated the contract and agreement with the seller, they've been the one that I've been speaking to through text messages or on the phone. They're the one that I went and got documents signed, so they get familiar with me and they will
Hmm.
with you. Then that's why it's good for you to be there, just to make sure you mend any issues that come up. If something pops up on title, you're there, you're that friendly mediator.
Hmm. Okay. I got it. I think I
That's
just got
all.
confused with the, but I got
Because
it
we're
now.
not the
Thanks.
real buyer.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And a
Okay.
lot of
Got it.
times too, I prefer to have the buyer go first. Say my buyer would go at 10 a.m. I'll tell Patricia, hey, schedule the seller at 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. Just because a lot of times those sellers, as soon as they sign, they're expecting to get paid right then and there. So you always want to try to have your buyer go first.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, it makes it easier also in case they ask, "Hey, aren't you signing?" And he basically will go and say, "Nope, I already signed."
Yeah. And there's no right or wrong way to do it, guys. It's just preference and what works the best and a smoother transaction. Because if your buyer did go later, you just find a way to buy time with the seller. Yeah, we're waiting for the funds to clear. I sent the wire in. We're just waiting for everything. But you should be able to get your wire tomorrow, or you could come back later in a couple hours and pick up a check. Any other questions about that so far, guys?
Just to clarify, so when we're doing like deals like out of state virtually or out of our area, so is this process still the same with the title company?
As far as which part?
I guess all of it. So we get the purchase agreement, we email it, I don't know,
Yep.
scan it to the title company that's out of state or
Yep. So, Patricia, have you ever done any out of state sellers and buyers?
Um, as in for like the properties out of state
No, the
or
properties in because each
in
title company they can only do deals in their state because it's different rules and regulations per each state. But the properties here, but the sellers lives in another state or the buyer lives in another state.
notaries?
Yeah, I know you do mobile notaries for that, but still the title company can facilitate the deal. Is that what you're asking, Ayana?
well, I'm saying like, okay, I live in Florida, but I'm doing a deal in Texas.
Okay.
And so my title company's in Texas
Yep.
and the property's in Texas. And so for me, do I then when I get the purchase agreement,
Mhm.
like because they'll have to use DocuSign for me to get
Yep.
all the information. And so do I then just I don't know, send it to the title company that like
Yep.
via
So it's the
Email.
same, yeah, same way.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything's the same because you're just wholesaling. You don't necessarily have to you don't necessarily have to get the you're not signing anything. You're wholesaling. Now, if you had a memorandum on it, yeah, you would have to sign something, a release of memorandum, but that could be done through a mobile notary. You could do that on your own with a notary that you know.
Okay.
Is
And
that clear for you, Ayana?
yeah, and just also to clarify, because I think you meant it was mentioned like you would need to eventually get a seller authorization. Like when does that come into play?
That's only if the seller has judgments against them. The title company
Oh.
will ask for a seller's authorization to act. Think of it like a power of attorney, but not a power of attorney, because you can't just reach out to a seller's debt collector and say, "Hey, I need this information on Miss Smith. Can you send me a payment release?" They're gonna be like, "Who are you? Who do you have rights? How are you able to reach out on their behalf?" So the title company gets a seller authorization form from the seller with their personal information, date of birth, social security number, and things just to act on their behalf, and they send that in to the judgment or the debt collector or whatnot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we usually send it once title's open. We usually send it to y'all because basically a lot of times we only have your information. We'll send it to y'all to go ahead and get it signed and completed by the seller. And if we don't get it, But by the time we get the title commitment, then we'll go ahead and resend it. Nowadays, okay, nowadays everything's like the system that I'm working with Qualia, it's done by computer. Everything's connect. So you'll receive an email um, from AI or somebody from somewhere else that's working it, and for you to create an account with the system, and that's where you'll enter all of the information, which makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier for everybody.
So it's just more digital now. You'll create a user profile to communicate secured messages back and forth.
Okay.
Um,
Hi, Ferris. I'm so sorry. I have another question.
huh? Just
Um,
let me off. Okay, Marlon.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm messing with you.
So going back, Patricia, you said get as much information as you can from the buyer, right?
The seller.
The seller. Okay, get as much information as you can from the seller. What's the like most important information we should be gathering?
Okay, so if you make sure that make sure that they're the ones that are the owners, and
Pause right there if you can, Patricia. Sorry to interrupt. Marla too, and for all you guys, um, I trust but verify too, just so I'm sure because I've ran into so many issues. I don't know if it was you, Emily. I told somebody I went to a property before and I was pranked. The person didn't even own the property. They didn't show up. And I found out they were just joking because they get so many calls about a property that they know information about a property. So when I do get something under contract or somebody's seriously interested, I try to see their name and you can verify if they're the actual person that owns the property by looking up your your appraisal district. Put the address in, whatever appraisal district the property's in, and you can see the owner's name. And that's part of, trust but verify because I think Patricia was about to say first make sure the person selling you or signing the contract is the person that actually owns the property. And that'll save you a lot of headache because you can translate and give all that correct information to a title company because somebody could have been deceased, it could have been a nephew, great grandmother that owned the property and they think they have a right to sell it when that isn't true. All right, Patricia, back to as much information as you can for Marla.
yeah, basically their name, phone number, email. Now, there's some wholesalers who just want communication between the wholesaler and the title company, and they'll relate everything to the seller and get all the information from the seller that we need. So basically, name, phone number, um, if you can get their date of birth, social security, all of that stuff, because we're going to ask for it anyways.
Okay, thank you.
And I know sometimes it's hard to ask people for your social security number, so you could leave that part up to the title company. But if you see any discrepancies when you're getting a property under contract and you looked up the appraisal district name, you can ask them, "Oh, so who is John Smith? How are you related to him?" And that's when you can catch them up and get the true story of what's going on with the property because a lot of times everybody's going to think they have a right to something or can sell something when it may not be true. The person you could be buying it from could be John Smith's wife's daughter, but John Smith has his own kids or had an affair in the past and has other kids and he's deceased. So some of that what do you call it, equity or some of that money from the sale, a percentage goes to them first. Does that make sense, Marlon? Or all you guys for that matter?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
know we're throwing a lot of information at you guys, but I'm trying to, let you guys get as much information as possible when you're dealing with these properties. Any other questions for Patricia?
Okay, I do have another question. So, because we want to verify that we are talking to the right people, do we ask for like driver's license or anything like that to verify that it is the correct person?
You want me? I'll answer it.
Yeah.
I do it sometimes, and I would say, perfect, I need a copy of your driver's license, and I'll take a picture of that next to the contract. And that's also for protection for me later on. If I know I'm getting a crazy steal of a deal and I want to make sure I have some type of bargaining chip to make sure, hey, I take it to attorney, look, this was the person that actually signed. Because sometimes, like I mentioned, I forgot who I was talking to about the memorandum. A lot of times they'll say, "Oh, that wasn't me that signed the contract." You'd be surprised what these sellers would do. And sometimes they do it for an extra 200, $300 that another buyer offered them. They'll cause ruckus and try to back out while wasting all their time just for a couple extra dollars. So I do it if it's a really great deal, Ayana. But starting off, maybe every deal is going to be a great deal to you. So it's nothing against it. It can help you. It can't harm you any, but you don't necessarily need a picture of their driver's license. It's more so, for your protection, and the title company will figure it out sooner or later anyway. It just saves time.
Okay.
Any other questions for regard title? No dumb
No,
questions. Who was that? Okay. A last thing, if they have no more questions, mention the importance of what verbiage should say on the contract so they can wholesale a deal
And or signs.
and or signs. You guys heard that?
say that again.
On the contract, you as a wholesaler, make sure that it has, if it has if you're gonna do it under your name, make sure it has at the end and or assigns. That way you can assign it to somebody else.
Yeah. Because remember, guys, you're not selling the property. What are you selling? Anybody?
The paper, flipping
There you
paper.
go. There we go.
Contract.
There we go. The paper, the contract, the agreement. So that's it. Any other questions for Patricia? And I'm going to stick around after her. I know she has some things to do. She gave us an hour of her time. Any other questions that you could think of regarding title, any type of title company questions, escrow officer company questions?
Well, I got here a little, I was like 5 minutes late and I didn't want to interrupt anybody, but was there anything particular that I needed to know for the title? I just put the title A, B, and then I put title C. She said anything after four, and I kind of like stopped right there and
So
just let her.
yeah, so Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C. Before you go back over that, Patricia, any other questions that we didn't answer yet? Anybody with any questions? Okay, you could go back through that for them. Patricia,
Okay.
you could go over Schedule A, B, and C, what's on, and this is what's basically on your title commitment, so they know what you need to get fixed, resolved, or corrected.
So just what you got to remember, Schedule A. Schedule A will let you know who is vested on the property. Okay, and you'll have a legal description as what exactly is owned on that property. Okay, lot 9, lot 10, block 2 in Timbuktu. Schedule B basically will let you know the restrictions. Restrictions that has anything to do what you can do, what the city has against that property, what you can and cannot do, things like that. It has easements as well. Boundary lines, easements, utility easements, aerial easements. And then Schedule C has anything to do, any liens that are against the property and against the owner. So if somebody goes and you owe a loan that you went and got, and you put your property address on there, and they went and recorded it, anything that's recorded of record will be on Schedule C. Mortgage, tax lien, property taxes, federal tax lien, child support, any judgments or anything to do with a credit card, or maybe you owe a car that got repoed. Those are some examples. And also, it will let me know if there's a deceased. And when it's someone deceased, they'll go. Sometimes somebody went and probated, or somebody went and filed, well, with the death certificate. So anything that has to do with the property. That's what on Schedule C. So Schedule C is one of the most important things that you need to look for. Schedule A, because of vesting, and C, for any liens that are against the property and the homeowner.
Yeah. And Schedule B, would that include the HOA restrictions too, or what's that called?
HOA restrictions, anything with to do with the city, and sometimes you'll find the memorandums on B and sometimes on C. It depends on the title company or
And
examiner.
certain subdivisions as well, even if they don't have a HOA, has their own restrictions per subdivision, right?
Yes. Well, no, if there's no, if there's not an HOA, there won't be no restrictions. There'll be city restrictions
Okay.
because there's no HOA in the subdivision.
Okay.
It is mostly because of the city that put restrictions on that property. Like you can't have 20 cars in that on your property.
Gotcha. Yeah. The neighbors can't park on the grass. All right. Any other questions, guys, before Patricia heads out? And like I said, I'll stick around so we could go over some other things that I think would have been helpful for some people. I'm not sure. It should be helpful for you as well, but I know some people were asking me certain things in messages. Any other questions for title or anything regarding your contract when you send the title? All right. Thank you, Patricia. You guys can say thank you to Patricia for joining us.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank
Very much
you.
appreciated.
Thank you so
Here
much.
now, Ferris has my number. If y'all have any other questions, text me first before calling.
Will do.
Or do you have your new title company email set up and stuff?
Yes.
Would you want to drop your email here, especially if you guys decide to do something in Texas and let me split the deal with you and you give me 60%?
Okay.
I'll send you my card, a picture of my card so you can have it.
Okay, I'll shoot it to them.
And the company I do work for does work with in they're nationwide.
Oh, perfect. What
Nice.
bank is that? Is it under like Fidelity or something?
Their underwriter is First American.
First American. Okay, that's perfect. All
Yes.
right.
Okay. Okay. Y'all have a good evening, guys.
You
All right.
too.
Thank you,
Bye.
Patricia. Bye-bye.